Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a really cool question. In a world that's always throwing curveballs at us, could the humble, simple bicycle actually be the most advanced vehicle we have?
We talk a lot about being resilient or being robust when things get chaotic. But what if there's something more? What if there's a quality that lets things not just bounce back from stress, but actually get better from it? Well, that idea has a name: anti-fragility. And it's the key to this whole explainer. So, before we can even start talking about bikes, we really need to get on the same page. Let's break down what it actually means to gain from disorder. Okay, so these three words get thrown around a lot, but the difference is absolutely crucial. Think of something robust, like a big concrete bunker. It just resists stress. It takes a hit. Then you have something resilient, maybe like a forest that regrows after a fire. It recovers. But an anti-fragile system, it's totally different. It gets stronger when it's exposed to volatility. It basically eats chaos for breakfast. All right, now that we have our mental toolkit ready, let's put our two-wheeled hero under the microscope, the bicycle. How does it really stack up? Just look at this table. It tells you almost everything you need to know. A car? It's totally dependent on fuel and complex repairs. An autonomous vehicle needs perfect data, perfect roads, the whole shebang. But the bicycle? It doesn't need any of that. Zero fuel dependency, it's super simple to fix, and it adapts brilliantly. And check out its longevity. There's this idea called the Lindy effect, which basically says the longer something's been around, the longer it's likely to stay around. Bicycles have been with us for over a century, and they're not going anywhere. And this is where it gets really interesting. This is the core of its anti-fragility. The bicycle doesn't just tolerate a fuel shortage or a citywide traffic jam. No, those are the exact conditions where it suddenly becomes the best possible option. Its value literally goes up as other, more complicated systems start to break down. It turns a crisis into a massive advantage. So where does this incredible strength come from? Well, it works on a few different levels. Its anti-fragility is intrinsic. It's baked right into its simple, elegant design. It's inherited from the situation. When a crisis hits, it suddenly has this new vital role, and it's induced as communities actually learn and adapt, making bikes a core part of how they respond to emergencies. And hey, this isn't just theory. This is real life. After the massive 2017 earthquake in Mexico City, the streets were a mess, totally impassable for cars. So what happened? Cycling brigades popped up and became a lifeline, delivering food and medicine to places nobody else could get to. The bicycle wasn't just a vehicle anymore. As this quote says, it became a symbol of unity and getting things done. Okay, so the bicycle's looking pretty unbeatable, right? It seems like a clear winner. But hold on a second. What if we've been overlooking an even more basic, maybe even more anti-fragile way of getting around? I mean, really think about it for a second. Could the ultimate anti-fragile vehicle be no vehicle at all? Is it possible that just putting one foot in front of the other, walking, is even better at gaining from all this disorder? Now, to really figure this out, we need a sharper tool. This is what's called a dose-response curve. It's just a fancy way to see how the payoff or the usefulness of something changes as the dose of stress gets more and more intense. This is the key to seeing where each system really has its moment. So first up, here's the curve for cycling. In normal everyday life, its value is pretty good. But when you hit a moderately disrupted world, think traffic jams, transit strikes, its payoff just skyrockets. That right there is its anti-fragile sweet spot. But in an extreme disruption, like a totally destroyed road, its value actually plummets. You just can't ride a bike over huge piles of rubble. Now, compare that to walking. In low to moderate disruption, its value is just, well, stable. It works, it gets you there. But look what happens when things get truly catastrophic. When even a bike is useless, walking becomes the only option left. Its payoff curve just shoots through the roof. Its anti-fragile zone kicks in at the most extreme end of the scale, right when everything else has totally failed. So, here's the big takeaway from all this. Anti-fragility isn't some absolute title that one thing gets to hold forever. It's all about context. Both cycling and walking are anti-fragile, but they shine in different zones of chaos. Cycling thrives when systems start to get shaky. Walking thrives when they completely fall apart. All right, but let's be real. There's a big elephant in the room we have to talk about. Forget earthquakes and fuel shortages for a minute. What about the everyday risk of just riding a bike in a busy city? This is probably the number one concern for so many people, and it's a totally fair question. You're out there, you're exposed, you're right next to cars. How can that possibly be considered safe, let alone anti-fragile?
Well, the thing is, the risk isn't just about the environment, it's also about the rider's skill. Experienced city cyclists are constantly managing risk. They intentionally choose quieter routes, they actively control their speed, and over time they develop this deep situational awareness. It's like an unspoken craft, this ability to read traffic and see what's about to happen. And this isn't just a gut feeling, it's straight up physics. The potential for harm in a crash doesn't just go up with speed, it goes up exponentially, it skyrockets. That's why simply riding a bit slower is one of the most powerful tools a cyclist has to manage their own risk. It's a deliberate act of control in what can be a very chaotic environment.
Okay, we've looked at the theory, we've looked at the challenger, and we talked about the risks. It is time to put all the pieces together and finally answer our original question.
After all this, where do we land? What's the final verdict? Is the simple, humble bicycle truly the ultimate anti-fragile vehicle? The answer is, it depends. Now, I know that might feel like a cop-out, but stick with me, because it's actually the most honest and useful answer we can give. Let me show you why.
Because here's the secret. Anti-fragility is never about the object by itself. It's always a relationship. Let's call it the contextual triplet. It's about how three things interact. The system itself, so the bicycle, the specific perturbation, or the stressor it's facing, and the environment it's all happening in. A bicycle is incredibly anti-fragile to a fuel crisis in a city, but it's pretty fragile to an earthquake in the mountains. See, context is everything. And that brings us to one last thought to leave you with. Now that you have this new mental model, this contextual triplet, what else in your life fits the bill? Maybe a cast iron skillet? A handwritten notebook? What other simple, everyday things don't just survive shocks, but actually become more valuable because of them?